What is happening, Walk-ins? Welcome, family. Nick and Michael here. Another episode, and you're here because you want more patients, you want to deliver better care, you want to get repeat visits, and you want to scale your clinic. And I can't think of a better way to scale your clinic than to bring people onto the podcast who are up into the 20-plus locations and know what they're doing. But more importantly, they share a brain with us because they're marketers. Michael, what's up, man?
Absolutely. I'm actually super excited about this because we're bringing on a marketing person that's in the urgent care space currently. And so she can confirm or deny the things that we've been telling you all this time. So it'd be one of those great opportunities. Like she can just tell us if we're wrong, which we're totally fine with. But anyway, so we have Chryssa Rich here from Primary Health Medical Group. She's a director of marketing there. She's not just been there for a short while. She's been there for 12 years. And it is like, think about 12 years ago. So you're talking 2013 timeframe. So much has happened.
She's seen a thing or two.
She has seen a lot of things, from the good, the bad, the ugly, and here we are today. So, Chris, I'm so glad to have you on today.
Chryssa, welcome to the podcast. Say hello to the Walk-ins Welcome family, and tell us one thing about you that nobody else knows.
Yes, thank you so much for having me. Hello, everyone. My name is Chryssa. Something that most people don't know about me is that I have synesthesia, which means I associate colors and musical notes in my head. So
I love that.
Play the piano, or when I listen to a piece of music, I see the notes in colorful patterns. And there are a lot of different versions of this that I didn't even know was a thing until I was well into my 20s. I thought everybody pictured high notes on the piano in shades of pink.
I was thinking there was like a Disney movie about this, but it's not. It's Ratatouille. It's where you do food in color.
Oh, yeah.
But no.
I wonder if there's a connection. That's really cool.
Wild.
I've never heard of that.
Yeah,
so are you a musician as well?
I am, yes.
What do you play?
Saxophone, piano, mostly.
So I went to school for studio music and jazz performance saxophone.
Oh, perfect.
We could talk shop. Now I need to know what kind of saxophone you have.
I have an alto. I'm probably going to buy a soprano this year.
Brand. We can talk brands here. We're good.
I'll go ahead and leave.
No, I'm rusty on my brands. I was a music major for 2 years before shifting over to graphic design, just because I realized music teachers don't make any money. So.
Yep, correct. We're the same thing. So I have a Yamaha 62 tenor,
nice.
And I'm always looking for a Selmer Mark 6, which you probably are too.
Selmer, yeah,
so,
for sure.
Okay, all right. We have lost the whole audience. Come back. Let's talk marketing.
I'm just here now.
Yeah, we may have to cut. We may have to cut all of that out just to keep people.
Awesome. Well, that's fantastic, and thank you for keeping that a secret too on the pre. Because if you had mentioned it before we started, we'd still be talking about it,
most likely,
and not start the episode, which is totally fine.
I don't see in color; I see in excellence and attractiveness. That's how I see things.
Okay,
I'm just kidding. I can't back up. Hey, let's get back to the podcast. Here. Let's talk marketing.
So absolutely. So, Chris, tell the audience about who Primary Health Medical Group is, so they can kind of get an understanding. 24 locations, we know that much, but where do they come from? Like where are they at right now? Like, what did you see in the growth patterns? Just kind of give us a nice baseline of what Primary Health Medical Group is.
Yeah, so Primary Health actually started out over 30 years ago as dedicated clinics for a specific insurance plan. It was then purchased by a group of physicians. Today, we continue to be physician-owned and Idaho's largest independent medical group. We have 24 clinics, as you said, with urgent care, family practice, pediatrics, and then a number of specialty lines as well.
So you have a whole family of services that you offer. You're not niche directly into urgent care. You're branching out. How? Tell me the story. I want to hear the story. If you've been there for 12 years and you're the marketing person, you know the story of this brand. Go for it.
Yeah, absolutely. So historically, we've led with urgent care. That's a great way to get people in the door. Our clinics are placed at highly visible, busy intersections. And so they're not tucked away, back in, medical plazas like you would see with the hospital system. So we lead with urgent care. It's very easy for people to choose us for the first time for urgent care because of all of our locations and hours, very low barrier to entry. We also take almost every insurance plan. And so super easy for people to come in for the first time. Hopefully they have a great experience. And then if they have additional needs, our staff will refer them over to family practice or specialty or whatever else they might need.
So I've heard you say the word easy about 5 times now, which I love that because that's part of your brand, right?
Absolutely.
We want to give you easy access, easy pay model, and then an easy transition to the other services.
Absolutely. Yeah. And
Yeah.
we have parking lots. So again, to compare with the hospital system, you're not going downtown, parking in a garage and walking and taking
Mhm.
an elevator to the seventh floor. You're parking, within a few steps of the clinic front door usually.
Mm, that's good. So I imagine, and Michael, you chime in whenever you want. I've always got questions,
Yeah.
but I imagine there has to be I don't want to use the word disconnect, but a separation. When you're marketing an urgent care, that's very different than marketing a primary care, which is different than marketing a pediatric anything.
Yeah.
So how are you taking your brands and connecting the dots?
Yeah, and again, a lot of that connection has to happen in the clinic.
Mm.
We know when the patient's looking for a primary care provider or specialist, it's an entirely different consumer journey compared to urgent care. So urgent care is I think my kid needs stitches. I think I broke a
Mm,
bone. I can't deal with this sinus stuff any longer. It's been a week. I need to go in somewhere. When someone's looking at getting a primary care provider or specialist, they don't know, can I self refer? How booked out are they, right? It's a whole other process. And so that process we've found is done much more successfully within the clinic setting with the staff that they've already come to know and trust on the urgent care side.
mm, that's good.
Yeah, I mean, because that then the training of that too, because we've talked to lots of urgent cares where they struggle to get their staff to understand we offer this service. Well, I don't know why you're not telling them about it because they're right there in front of you. It's
Right.
like how hard can this be? But it's a real thing. So one of the things that got us originally connected. So I'm on this urgent care list through the UCA. I don't think I'm supposed to be on it, but I'm on there. And there was a question from one of the urgent cares that talks about how do you measure ROI with your marketing, all that type of stuff. And you had a fantastic answer around it, where a lot of it was you can't just put it, measure it off a month or whatever. You got to look at it from a longer scale. You got to look at the actual patient numbers and just start looking, is there an actual lift that's happening or not?
Mm,
So our audience, majority of our audience are urgent care owners and marketing people. But majority are by far are the urgent care owners where they're wearing multiple hats. They may be the doctor in the clinic. They may be doing marketing as well. They may be doing some operational things, do all these things. So speaking to that urgent care owner, from your experience with marketing side, like how do you judge, is my marketing actually working or not? Should I be pursuing this? How long should I be waiting before I can make a decision on any of this? Like where is your mindset? Because I know you got to answer to people, right? Like, hey, I've made these decisions and now I got to go have this meeting with a bunch of doctors and tell them this was a great decision, or let me defend it a little longer.
Yeah, and it's different for every effort. Really, there are just so many different pieces. Prior to being at Primary Health, I was with an e-commerce company, which is the exact opposite, right? You run your
Mhm.
A/B test, you run your Google ads, and you can see within 500 impressions whether things are converting and whether you're
mm,
convincing people. You can do sales, you can do discounts, referral links. None of that applies in healthcare. Obviously, we
No,
can't do
no.
sales, we can't do discounts. When I first started here, it was like, hey, could we like do a cover your copay, promotion? Like you win this contest, we'll cover your next copay. No, you can't do any of that. So you really have to be prepared to take a longer term view in a lot of cases. Um, I'll speak first to the couple of things that we do that show a little bit more instant instant results. And
mm,
one of those is QR codes. So I know
mm.
when QR
Yeah.
codes first came out, people were super excited about them, and then you realized you needed a special app to scan them, and they disappeared. Now they're back because you can scan them with your camera on your phone. And so we've had really good luck with QR codes in certain instances. So we have some clinics recently where the service hours changed or the services offered changed. We have a large poster at the clinics and handouts at those clinics with QR codes that provide information and a map to the next closest location. Those get lots of scans. Those get really busy scans. Events, QR codes are not working at events. So if people come
Mm,
up and it's like, hey, scan to meet our family doctors, they don't get any scans. So the QR codes have
Interesting.
done really well at point of sale, essentially, when patients are looking for that information right then and there. On a lot of the other efforts, you have to take a long term view and you have to have context around it. If
mm,
flu season peaks in January instead of December, as you were expecting, your analytics for the entire year could be screwed up if you're looking at it on a yearly basis,
Mm-hmm.
like
Oh yeah.
why did all this go sideways? How were our projections so wrong? So there's just so much information that has to go around every effort, so you know what you're looking for. Something that we've measured pretty thoroughly that really takes a long time is whether added signage at the clinic level makes a difference. So changing the wording on our electronic sign, hanging a banner on the building, putting signs in the yard around the building. In some cases, we've paired those efforts with direct mail sent to targeted households. 3 to 6 months later, we'll pull the numbers, look at patient reports, and see, did it make a difference? Did those people we targeted with direct mail, did those households end up showing up for the first time? And we can say conclusively that signage at the point of the clinic doesn't make a difference. So once they know you're there and you're open, you're not going to get much more mileage out of signage than that, is what we've learned.
That's pretty good. That's good to know, right? Because there's a lot of wasted dollars in the sign. Signage is expensive.
Feather banners everywhere, and you have to pay for a permit with the city to have signs on the building, and you have to send them blueprints showing exactly how big the banner is going to be and where it's going to be placed. It's a pretty heavy lift. So
yeah, I know that majority of the urgent cares that we talk to, they're convinced. I think we're convinced too. As long as the front of the building has urgent care in red letters, they're probably going to understand what that is.
Yes. Yes. Or with pediatric.
Yeah, you very rarely see a brand that way.
Yeah, or in pediatric urgent care, in our case, multicolor letters followed by a red urgent care.
Yes, exactly. Because then it's a kid thing, so we know I'm in the right spot. Yep.
Exactly.
Yep.
We did focus group testing around designing that logo, and as much as I wanted to do something different, multicolor letters is what was going to communicate with parents.
Is it like red, blue, yellow? Is that like the...
Well, it's the word pediatrics, so it's every letter. It's every color.
Every color, okay.
Lots of shades of colors to make it through the whole word pediatrics.
That's fantastic.
And then just like big red urgent care at the end of it. Yeah. Genius. I love it. So you have an omni-channel approach to your marketing. You have leading metrics and lagging metrics. Are you following me on that?
Yes.
What do you consider? Because I know that you know what I'm talking about. I didn't mean that. I want to explain it to the audience a little bit, but I want you to, because I think you may have a different perspective than I do, because you're in it every day with one company, where I'm in it every day with hundreds of locations. So leading metrics versus lagging metrics, and how are you measuring those, like on a spreadsheet or in a software or what?
Ooh, yeah, a little bit of everything. That's one of the challenges right now, is that reporting does come from a lot of different places.
That's real.
So we get reports from our agency that handles our media buys. We'll get quarterly reports on performance, on digital, on streaming. Of course, if we're making a purchase out of home, we want to know traffic counts. We want to know what attendance was like. Reporting comes from a lot of different places. And so we do have a company-wide dashboard where we feed in our top points, and then we can look company as a whole, department by department, how those certain things are going.
I'm assuming this is broken down by clinic and by type.
Absolutely. Yeah, we can break it down by clinic, by service line, by provider on the appointment-based side. And of course, with our patient satisfaction surveys and our NPS reports, we can split those a million ways as well.
I love it.
So talking about metrics, if you were going to boil down to one metric, that if this number is true, that I know what happened actually worked, what tends to be that metric?
Depends on the effort, but I will say I could tell how COVID was trending in the community based on web traffic.
Yep.
I could log in that morning first thing and go tell our CEO whether we were going to see it, whether we were going to go through it or not that day, based on based on the web traffic alone. New patient visits is a huge one. So I get a report every month of previous month's first-time urgent care patients. That's a really great indicator of are we reaching new people, or are we just bringing in our own mothers and family members over and over?
Right.
And they're fine too, but we want to be reaching that new audience. But really, web traffic, it comes to web traffic quite a bit. So those new patients get put into a special 12-week follow-up marketing campaign. And the first piece of that campaign is a customized text message that says, Thank you so much for choosing us for urgent care for the first time. Did you know we have family doctors? Here, click here to meet our providers. And so I can tell when that link goes out because our traffic to that page spikes that day. And so even though we can't go in and measure who opened their text messages specifically due to privacy rules, we can certainly see the traffic spike to that page when that message goes out. And then, of course,
Yeah, it's fantastic that you're talking about like a 12-week follow-up. I'm very confident the majority of urgent cares don't do that. They don't do like this long funnel, basically, of like putting them through a process, a drip process, and engaging that patient, because they don't, in their eyes, all right, I sent the request for a Google review and that's about it. You know, like that's as far as most urgent cares go. But the fact that you have this long and I bet too, like I bet you have better return rates, because one of the biggest things that we find in the urgent care space, getting patients is not the cheapest thing in the world, but getting patients to come back is challenging. Like repeat visitors is just an absolute challenge. But it sounds like you guys have gotten some of that figured out. I don't know what your rates look like in terms of what the percentages are that actually do come back, but it sounds like you're more ahead of the scale than most.
Yeah, and we measure the return rates as well. So we have an incredible data and reports team that has set this up for me. So we can go back and measure at 90 and 180 days how many of those first-time urgent care patients came back, and whether they came back for urgent care, family practice, or specialty. And what we've seen is the vast majority of that return rate is going to happen in that first 90 days after their first urgent care visit with us ever. The rates taper off pretty quickly after that initial 90 days.
Interesting. What do you think the reason for that fall off is?
Ooh, it's hard to say. I think a lot of times there's a natural follow-up that comes from an urgent care visit, especially if it was for illness. So that might be part of it. I also think that if they had a really great experience, they're not going to delay in setting up with a family practice provider. And, you know,
okay. So they've been passed down they've been passed along, and the mindset is okay.
Yeah. Yeah. And it depends. They have to have a need, right? I mean, we can't make someone need urgent care. We can't make someone need a family doctor. Nobody wants to come in and fill out all the forms and have a checkup when they feel fine, right? Like you have to get to a certain stage in life before you're willing to do that. So.
Well, I'm curious. So Nick has mentioned this a lot in different podcast episodes, and we talk about this. If there's always an opportunity, well, there should be mostly an opportunity to book an appointment from an appointment. Do you guys have a mindset around that with your patients that come in? Do you look for opportunities to say, hey, come back for a flu shot or for whatever, just going get them back on the calendar?
Yeah. And yes, we do. We have a special follow-up, special follow-up materials that happen in the clinics. A lot of those are at the provider's discretion. They have their own systems that they like to bring them back in. And then we do mass, e-blasts to all of our patients around that time. So flu shot, for example, when we get flu vaccine in, when we get an updated COVID vaccine, there's always that initial rush of people who are eager to get that. And so we'll get that information out and make sure they know they can come in for it.
Nice.
From a marketing perspective, if you're anything like most companies, you're looking to market the things that are most profitable. It is a retail healthcare space. What is working for you from a profitability? Like what's driving your profits? Let's say it that way in marketing.
Sure. I think, I can tell you what we're not super interested in.
Okay.
Yeah, that's
a great way to do it.
That could be your $20 drug screens, your $20 sports physicals, that type of stuff we do offer, but we're not spending any time or effort out there, promoting those items. In some of those cases, you're actually losing money on those visits. If you have one thing go wrong and the patient has to come back in for a recollection, or the lab has a problem, any of that stuff, and you've just lost money on the visit. So we don't go for that. But in terms of, marketing our services, we're not trying to press people to come in for any sort of specific, procedure or treatment. If anything, our providers, for example, when it comes to prescribing antibiotics, we have some of the best rates, I think, in the nation in urgent cares in terms of not overprescribing antibiotics in order to, try to avoid antibiotic resistance building up. So the interest is going to be in the best care of the patient as opposed to how can we increase the bottom line per visit?
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. So, so thinking through, obviously you've probably is there a marketing lever that you have not pulled yet you've wanted to?
Ooh,
Is there anything out there?
No, I love that question. So we just ran an internal promotion the entire month of March at Primary Health, where we encouraged everyone in every clinic, every position to submit their marketing ideas. And it could be
Okay.
it could be the most built out or the least built out. And we saw everything from just like casual phrases, like quick phrases submitted, to people who had notebook pages full of sketches and ideas of things we could do. So we just took a really comprehensive look at, kind of what we want to do. And podcasting actually came up, was mentioned a few times.
Okay.
And then, of course, having a TikTok channel has been recommended a number of times. I think both of those obviously are a heavy lift from a production standpoint, from a quality standpoint. And so it would be fun to do those. I don't know if we can maintain, and commit to what that would require to be successful in those two areas. But I would say we've done just about everything else you can think of. We're just wrapping up production on our new TV ads. We have a new radio that's going to go along with that, and outdoor and digital and social. So we get our hands in everything. It's a lot of fun.
I have a great idea that I will submit to your marketing for you.
It's May. It's fine. Yeah,
you can have it. If you use it, you have to agree to come back on the podcast and tell us how it worked for you.
Okay, that's a deal.
All right. And if you're already doing it, you don't tell anybody.
Yeah.
But I think it's a good idea, and I think it would probably work really well for your company. So I'll give that to you.
Okay.
So we've talked a little bit about omnichannel. I want to ask you kind of a two-part question here. One, what is your favorite marketing channel? And two, what is your most effective marketing channel? And I know they're not always the same.
No, but I think in this case it might be.
So okay, that's perfectly fine.
I would probably go with direct mail.
Okay, direct mail is your favorite, and it's also your most responsive.
It's
I want to hear about this because I don't hear it a lot. So let's unpack that.
We can measure it the best. And so I want to say it was 2016. I went to a conference with DMA. It was an And Then conference. I don't think they're around anymore, but it's a great conference, heavy direct mail focus. What I love about this, so we work with a company that lets us target qualified households who have never been to a primary health before. And we can do new movers, or we can just do general population. And we send them a mailer, and 90 days later, we can run another report and see what percentage of those households came in for the first time compared to a control group. And so we do this without seeing any patient-specific info. We don't know who came in or what they came in for. And we here at Primary Health don't even see those addresses. We just get the numbers as a result. But what's so interesting about this is that we can see what percentage of those households came in for the first time after getting that mailer within 90 days. We can see what they came in for, whether it was urgent care, family practice, pediatric specialty. But then we're also seeing that control group data, which is so valuable because that tells me what kind of lift are we getting from our general marketing that runs all the time? And then what is this targeted mail piece adding on top of that? So I don't remember the last numbers off the top of my head. I want to say it was about 4% of the households in the control group we picked up in that 90-day period. And then the new movers are going to be anywhere from 8 to 12%, depending on the mailing and the time of year. Now, that might be a little bit of a unique opportunity here in the Treasure Valley because we're consistently one of the fastest growing places in the country. So if we want to target new movers, there's never a shortage of people who were either moving within the valley or just recently moved here, from out of state or out of the area. So it's really cool to be able to see that. It's really valuable. It's fun to be able to target out that specific message. And something that stuck with me from that conference is that people don't always open their texts. They don't always open their emails, but they get their mail. And so if you have a nice big flyer and it's shiny and it's colorful and you treat it like a billboard, right? Ideally, you're looking at like 3 to 5 word headline max because you want them to read it and understand what it is on the way to the recycle bin. You can treat it that way.
Yeah,
and target it well.
yeah, it's true.
It's gonna be
I got 20 steps before this goes into the trash
That
can.
was that was funny. Sorry.
No, but that's the reality of it, right? And you're not putting anything in an envelope. There's no extra work required. It's shiny, It's big, it's easy to read, it looks like fun, and it works, and we can measure it.
Okay, I love it. So, how much are you leaning on branding versus direct response marketing?
So, again, the nature of urgent care, we can't make anyone need urgent care. We can't entice them to come to urgent care. So we really have to be in this constant brand building and awareness campaign. But it has to be educational.
Hold up. Back up 3 sentences and say that a little louder for those in the back.
Yeah, right, exactly. They forget.
Which part? That we can't make people need urgent care? Or that we're constant
what you said right after that. The branding piece.
Constant awareness, building brand, and educating people. We've found that even though we've been in this area for over 30 years, people still assume that we're not open on weekends, or that we close at 5 during the week, or, well, you don't do x-ray right. Oh, you probably can't do stitches right. And so we are just having to constantly beat the same drum of, this is who we are. Here's who can come in. Here's what we do.
I'll try and make this analogy as simple as I can. We work with a plethora of different urgent cares, right? We work with big name branded urgent cares, and we work with brand new startup urgent cares, and we actually love them all. But the thought process is, if I just put an urgent care in a good spot, it's going to win. And I'm trying to help, for those who are listening, what I'm trying to help you understand is that just because I'm really good at making a hamburger doesn't mean I'm going to outpace a McDonald's that's established. I don't care how good my product is. If they don't know who you are and you haven't built any kind of mind share with them, you'll still get patients, but it's not going to be the same. And you can't compare yourself. That's what I'm really trying to get you to understand, is you cannot compare yourself. You have to measure where you are and then look at it year over year, not day after day.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And people aren't always in a position to wait a year, right? So, but yeah, I mean, you got to do as much as you can as soon as you can do it. Something I've noticed that if we've had a number of competitors come and go here in the area, and we do still have some competitors, but no one's really stuck around long term and made a big name for themselves. I think empty parking lots. It's kind of like when you go up to a restaurant at dinner and no one's there. You're like, maybe not this one. If you have an urgent care, you can have all the signage. You can have a high visibility intersection, red paint. And if your parking lot's empty, that's a problem.
Yeah.
Yeah. I've always heard in certain retail situations, if you're brand new, make sure your staff parks in the front of the parking lot, so that it gives the appearance that somebody's always there.
Right.
Because an open establishment is always more inviting than a closed looking one. So
yes, right. So it either looks like you're closed or no one's choosing to go there.
Yeah, exactly.
Not helpful.
Yeah.
Well, it's the same
Either
thing
one of them is
event,
negative.
right? The best way to get people at your booth at an event is to already have people at your booth, and people will wait in line before they will walk up to a booth with no other customers.
Exactly.
I love it.
That's real.
That's good.
Hey, we'll be at the UCA next week, so I'll have to remind myself of making sure people are in front of us.
Are you going?
I'm not. No.
Okay. Fun fact on the booth. A while ago, I worked in radio, and we were at some kind of a conference and one of these events, right? Like a booth heavy event. And there was this guy who had a laser shot on the ground with like things for kids to look at. And it would bring the kids, which would bring the parents. And while they're playing with the lasers, he's pitching hard, whatever it is. But like, he had a pile of people around him. So I thought that was fascinating. All right, let's switch gears real quick. You have a online scheduler that we wanted to talk about that is innovative. It's making some waves in your clinics. Tell us about that.
Yeah, so you must be referring to the patient waiting feature.
Yep.
Patient waiting widget. Yeah. So the patient waiting widget, we had built custom with a local web company, Web Markets. Give them a little shout out. And that shows how many patients are waiting in line for urgent care at each clinic in real time. So before COVID, our clinics were open, 8 to 8 every day, 7 days a week, every clinic, always open, just walk in. After COVID, as patient behaviors changed, it didn't make sense for us to be open all those hours. And so we have consolidated or made more efficient our urgent care footprint. So we're seeing the same number of patients, but in a much more efficient way. So we had to shift again after 30 years of training people. Just walk in, we're always open. We had to shift and start to retrain people to find the shortest line first, so that they have the shortest wait. So that's what the feature of the patient waiting widget is, or that's the point of it, is so they can see. And a lot of times we'll have clinics. One clinic will have 16 patients waiting for urgent care, and the one a mile and a half away will have 1 or 2. I mean, the differences are huge. And so we want to help patients spread themselves out more evenly. Everyone's happy that way. So once they use that feature, they can either choose to walk in at that time, or they can reserve their time slot for later the same day through that same widget. And then that online scheduler integrates with ECW. And so we've had that in place for quite some time, and then just built the patient waiting widget to incorporate with that on the front end.
It literally sounds like the Disney World app, where I'm looking at waiting times.
Yes.
Cause I was at Disney World a year ago, and I remember, if we walk for 5 minutes, we can get on this ride that has a 10-minute wait compared to the ride in front of us that has a 90-minute wait. Let's go ahead and make that walk.
Absolutely.
And so I get it. And I think you guys are poised for that because you have 24 locations. So you're densely located, right? So it's not inconvenient to drive another 5 or 10 minutes.
Right.
So it makes a whole lot of sense. And how long have y'all been doing the patient waiting widget? Like, how long has it been live?
So it has been live a little less than a year.
Okay. And are you finding, are people like adapted to it? Like, do they understand it and want to utilize it, or is it still new?
Yeah, they're getting used to it, and it is a little hard to measure. How many people are looking at it. We know how many times the map moves per day, but if one person goes on and clicks in and zooms around and stuff, it's not a super accurate measurement of how many people are using it. But yeah, they're definitely catching on. They're enjoying the ease of that, and then also online booking is steadily increasing as well.
Pretty soon you're going to have a staff version where you have overstaffing happen. I need y'all to go over here. I need you to go over here.
Our scheduler would love that. Our scheduler would love that for sure.
Yeah, because that's like Disney, right? Where they can see crowd control with your magic bands. They don't tell you that, but they can.
Right.
And so they know where to send staff when things start crowding up in certain parts of the park. So it's just the same mindset.
Send a parade
to divert the crowd.
Yeah, exactly.
It's brilliant. Well, let's do a quick fire round of questions. You can make them as quick answers as you want. I only got a few, but first of all, AI. What is your favorite AI tool that you're using in your clinics right now?
I am not on that side of things at all. I know that they recently started using Heidi for scribing, I believe.
Okay.
As a creative marketer, I want original ideas and I want to own my ideas. And so we've played around with AI with chat for fun, but have not incorporated it into our creative efforts at this point.
All right. And your favorite marketing software?
Oh, Creative Suite for sure.
Creative Suite. Okay. That's Adobe, right?
That's
clearly I'm not a creative.
That's that BFA coming out. Like, right? Like I grew up on that type stuff. So
yes, right.
All right.
My purple iMac.
There you go.
Oh, the clamshells back in the day. You remember those?
I had the clamshell laptop and the purple desktop with the handle on top. Yeah.
I love both of those.
Nice.
That one had the door. Like
I think I had to use student loan money to purchase Photoshop the first time because it's so expensive.
Yeah, like
as much as I love those, they had the stupidest mouse on the planet. That little bitty circle with the one-click thing.
Oh no, I love that mouse.
Yeah, but I got big hands.
You just crush it.
You and I look different, right? Like you probably.
You don't need right click when you can control click. It's not a problem.
That's right. No, I don't disagree with that.
Yeah, that's okay.
All right. You can only pick one marketing channel to deliver your message. Which one?
Yeah, like I said, it would probably be direct mail.
Direct mail still. Okay, we're going to stick with that. I like it.
And a follow-up question to that is, if you were a brand new urgent, like you have all this knowledge, right? You know what works and what doesn't work, and you're on a very limited budget. You're starting up a brand new urgent care in a brand new area. What are you going to do first? Like, what is I got to get patients in the door. I'm going to do this one thing. What's it going to be?
Yeah, I would contact local TV and radio stations, and I would have them out with their trucks for everything they do. Giving away concert tickets, come do it from my clinic parking lot. local news.
Yeah.
Come talk to me about flu season and allergies and how to not slip and fall on the ice, right? I would go for that earned media. Get every local TV station, every local radio station you can.
Nice.
I love it.
That's
That's
good.
good. Well, I've had a great time talking with you today.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
appreciate you coming on the podcast. Don't go anywhere. I want to give you that thought process that I was
Yes,
going to give you earlier in the
sure.
podcast. So we'll do that. But give me any last parting words that you want to tell our audience. And do me a favor. You have an experience as a marketer with 24 clinics. Talk to the one urgent care that's a year old.
One of my favorite things to do, you had asked about the UCA conference, and one of my favorite things to do is go to conferences and attend things that are not about healthcare. Because when you go to
Okay,
things
I
that are
love
about
that.
healthcare, you're just going to hear about what everyone else is trying and what's already been done. If you go to general advertising, general marketing conferences, you're going to get a lot of great ideas that you can apply to what you're doing that maybe your competitors aren't doing or that maybe hasn't already been brought up in healthcare circles.
Think outside of the urgent care box.
It's real. I totally agree,
I agree with
with
that.
that.
Think
Yeah,
of
100%.
it as retail. It's retail,
Yeah.
and take that approach first.
I know this sounds crazy, but if you can go to where there's a conference that deals with like cafes, banking, these different kinds of things, how people are receiving, like think retail.
Yeah.
Anyway, Chryssa, I've had a good time
Yep,
with you
absolutely.
on the podcast today. We definitely want to have you back on in the future if you're open to it.
Especially if your idea works.
Well, the ideal work is just whether or not she's doing it. You don't have to worry about whether or not it'll work. It'll work. Come on. Anyway, all right.
Teaser.
Chryssa, thanks. We'll talk to you soon.